What happens when you give Marvel unlimited money and tell them to fill a streaming service as fast as possible? You get the most expensive creative disaster in entertainment history. While fans were celebrating the end of the Infinity Saga and eagerly waiting for the next chapter, Disney was making decisions behind the scenes that would fundamentally break the Marvel formula. The same studio that spent over a decade carefully crafting the most successful cinematic universe ever was about to throw all of that discipline out the window, and it started with a single catastrophic assumption about what made their content special. Marvel spent over $1 billion on Disney Plus shows between 2021 and 2023, yet half of them flopped with both audiences and critics. While The Mandalorian turned Disney Plus into the hottest streaming service around, the MCU practically burned it to the ground. Marvel didn't just stumble on Disney Plus, its obsession with pumping out shows drained the platform of its magic. Here's how they messed it all up. Let's rewind to November 2019. The world was simpler then. We all thought 2020 was going to be our year. Disney Plus launched like it owned the place, and honestly, they had the content to back it up. The pitch was simple. Hey, remember everything that made your childhood awesome? We own it all. Plus, we're making new stuff so good you'll ditch your other subscriptions to afford us. And then they hit us with The Mandalorian. Listen, The Mandalorian wasn't just a TV show, it was a game changer. It blended the grit of a Western with Star Wars vibes, threw in an adorable CGI baby, and made us actually look forward to weekly episodes in a binge-watching world. This show had it all. Pedro Pascal being charismatic despite wearing a helmet, revolutionary stagecraft tech that made other shows look like they were using cardboard sets, and most importantly, Baby Yoda, who became the internet's collective obsession faster than you could say, "This is the way." The Mandalorian worked because you didn't need a Star Wars encyclopedia to enjoy it. It was just a lone gunslinger and a weird green baby having adventures. Simple, effective, and addictive. But what made it special was the weekly release. In 2019, when Netflix had us binging entire seasons like zombies, Disney Plus said, "Nah, we're bringing back appointment television." And it worked. Suddenly we were all chatting on Friday mornings like, "Did you see what happened to Grogu this week?" It was water cooler talk for the streaming age. Meanwhile, Disney Plus was flexing. Want to watch The Simpsons from the start? Boom, it's there. Feel like crying to Pixar shorts? They've got you. Want to show your kids classic Disney movies without explaining why you own 47 DVDs? Welcome to the vault. And just when we thought it couldn't get better, they dropped Soul straight onto the platform because a Pixar movie meant for theaters was just handed to us. It felt like unwrapping a gift you didn't expect to love this much for everyone. It was a flex, a bold, confident move that screamed, "We are the new center of the universe." It was critically acclaimed with a 95% score on Rotten Tomatoes, and it sent subscriber numbers into the stratosphere, reaching 100 million by March 2020. They were a rocket ship. Meanwhile, Star Wars fans were feasting. The Clone Wars Season 7 finally gave us the ending we'd been waiting a decade for. The Bad Batch expanded the universe. The Reddit threads were alive with theories and dissections. There was depth, there was quality, and there was a clear, focused vision. Notice what's missing: the MCU. In 2020, Marvel was silent. A full year without a movie after the universe-shattering finale of Endgame, the anticipation wasn't just high, it was stratospheric. Kevin Feige had stood on stage at Comic-Con teasing a new era where the movies and the shows would be intricately linked. We were promised stories that mattered, that would push the universe forward. Then January 2021 happened and Marvel joined the party. WandaVision hit like a creative lightning bolt. This wasn't just a superhero show, it was art disguised as entertainment. Elizabeth Olsen and Paul Bettany living in sitcoms from different decades while unraveling a mystery. Bold, weird, and absolutely brilliant. Reddit was working overtime. Fan theories flew faster than conspiracy theories at a family dinner. Everyone was trying to figure out what was happening, who was behind it, and if Mephisto was showing up. Spoiler, he didn't, but we kept hoping. WandaVision proved Marvel could do more than punch, kick, explosion, and quip. They could make art. They could tell stories about grief and trauma that felt real. Then came The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Like Marvel said, okay, we did artsy. Now let's make a 6-hour Marvel movie and call it a show. And it worked. Anthony Mackie and Sebastian Stan had chemistry, and it felt like a natural continuation of the MCU. At this point, the Disney Plus/MCU partnership seemed invincible. The model was perfect. Marvel looked at WandaVision and Falcon and the Winter Soldier and decided if 2 shows are good, 15 will be amazing. This is where things started to spiral, like a project you know is doomed but can't stop watching. Loki dropped in June 2021 and it was another hit. Tom Hiddleston was charismatic while breaking the multiverse. But here's the problem. Loki wasn't just a fun side story. It was required reading for the entire MCU. The Mandalorian worked because you could watch it without knowing Star Wars. WandaVision worked because it was mostly standalone, but Loki rewrote reality itself. Suddenly, to understand the movies, you had to do homework, and that homework became a full-time job. Marvel started announcing shows like they were building a content factory late 2021 into 2022. It wasn't a slate, it was a fire hose. What if an animated anthology? Okay, fun, skippable. Then Hawkeye, a charming Christmas story, but did it matter? Then Moon Knight, a genuinely weird, cool character study with Oscar Isaac giving 110%, but totally disconnected from everything else. Then Ms. Marvel, an absolutely adorable, stylish coming-of-age story, but again, where does this fit? The list grew, and each announcement felt less like cool new content and more like, great, another thing I have to watch to get the next movie. The shows came out faster than anyone could keep up with. Appointment television became appointment anxiety. Miss a few episodes, good luck understanding variants, Nexus events, or whatever cosmic nonsense got introduced that week. And here's the kicker. While Marvel was flooding Disney Plus with mediocre content, Star Wars was showing them how it's done, and/or dropped in 2022, and it was everything the Marvel shows had stopped being. Patient, mature, a character study set in the Star Wars universe. Diego Luna delivered a performance that made you forget you were watching a show about space wizards. It was prestige TV with stormtroopers, and proved Disney Plus wasn't the problem. The strategy was, you could still make amazing TV, but you had to care about making it amazing. But Marvel was too busy mass producing to notice what Andor was teaching them, and that's when everything fell apart spectacularly. She-Hulk. Attorney at Law came out in August 2022, and suddenly everyone was talking about Marvel, but not in a good way. The CGI looked like it was rushed out of a low-budget workshop. VFX artists went public about impossible deadlines and terrible working conditions. The show, meant to be a fun legal comedy, became a symbol of everything wrong with Marvel's approach. The premium image that made Disney Plus special was cracking on screen, one poorly rendered green woman at a time, but the real knockout punch was Secret Invasion in 2023. This should have been a slam dunk. Samuel L. Jackson as Nick Fury in a paranoid thriller about shape-shifting aliens. It sounded like Captain America, the Winter Soldier for TV. Instead, we got 6 episodes of Nick Fury wandering around looking confused, while the plot was so messy it felt like they wrote it in a single coffee-fueled all-nighter. There was a reported $212 million budget for something that looked cheaper than a BBC drama. The reviews were brutal, viewership tanked, major characters got killed off-screen like extras in a low-budget horror flick, and just when you thought it couldn't get worse, rumors surfaced on AI being used for the opening credits. During a time when the industry was freaking out about AI taking jobs, it was like Marvel took all their goodwill and used it as kindling for a bonfire. Secret Invasion wasn't just a bad show, it was proof the Marvel machine was broken. This wasn't a misstep, it was a systematic failure of a company that forgot how to make things people wanted to watch. While all this was happening, Star Wars was just cruising. The Book of Boba Fett did huge numbers. Obi-Wan Kenobi was a massive event. Andor got Emmy buzz. Ahsoka was a love letter to Fona fans that continued a beloved narrative. Star Wars was offering variety, animated shows, standalone dramas, and movie sequel series. The MCU was offering one thing, a formulaic 6-episode origin story or team-up that felt increasingly like an obligation. In 2022, for the first time ever, Disney's subscriber numbers went down. Streaming fatigue was real, and the MCU's oversaturation was a primary cause. The execs, who had been popping champagne bottles just a year earlier, were now facing a crisis. The model was failing, so they called in the big gun. In November 2022, Bob Chapek was out and Bob Iger was back in. Iger's return was a dramatic, symbolic moment. It was an admission that the strategy had failed. He had one good look and said, "Yeah, we screwed up. We made too much stuff, and most of it was garbage." When your CEO publicly admits they diluted their own brand, you know it's bad. He started talking about quality over quantity. He announced a massive slowdown for Marvel. We were going from a flood to a trickle, maybe 2 shows a year. Ironheart, which had finished filming in late 2022, was suddenly delayed indefinitely. Agatha, Coven of Chaos was pushed back. The message was clear. The factory is closing for renovations. Echo, released in 2024, was the first product of this new reality. It was dropped all at once, Netflix style. It had a grittier, street-level tone, which was a welcome change, but it was only 5 episodes and felt rushed. A course correction, yes, but a jerky and uncertain one. The damage was done. The universe was overcomplicated. Netflix's Daredevil was everything Disney Plus Marvel shows weren't. Gritty, patient, a character character study disguised as a superhero show. Charlie Cox and Vincent D'Onofrio made you forget you were watching a guy in a Halloween costume punching people. So when Marvel announced Daredevil Born Again for Disney Plus, expectations were sky high. This was their chance to prove they could still make premium TV. Then news broke that they scrapped months of footage and fired the entire creative team. Let me repeat, they filmed a ton of a TV show, looked at it, and decided it was so bad they'd rather throw away millions of dollars than let anyone see it. This wasn't just a creative disagreement. This was Marvel admitting their process was such a mess they'd rather scrap everything than let people see the results. When Daredevil Born Again finally came out, it was actually pretty good, but the damage was done. The story wasn't Marvel makes great TV again. It was Marvel spends a fortune to accidentally make something decent after admitting their system is broken. And that brings us to the symbol of the fall, the ghost of TV past, the show that embodies every single mistake they made along the way. The case of Ironheart. It arrived like a soldier walking into a battlefield where the war was already over. This show never had a chance. By the time it premiered, audiences weren't excited about new Marvel content. They were exhausted. The show got review bombed before anyone saw it. Online debates turned it into a lightning rod for arguments before the first episode even dropped. Critics who liked it still called it formulaic or another origin story. Even positive reviews felt tired. Ironheart's biggest problem wasn't that it was bad, it was that it was another product from a damaged assembly line. The MCU's TV strategy had so thoroughly devalued the brand that it poisoned the well for new content. While the MCU shows were self-immolating, what was keeping the lights on at Disney Plus? Everything else. Star Wars kept delivering with Ahsoka and Skeleton Crew. Pixar brought in families with Win or Lose and the Inside Out spin-off series. And the old reliables, The Simpsons, Nat Geo documentaries, and the classic Disney animation vault remain the platform's bedrock. The irony is staggering. The MCU, meant to be the platform's crown jewel, became the albatross around its neck, forcing it to rely on the very library content it was supposed to transcend. Here's what gets me. Disney Plus still has great content. The Mandalorian is still excellent. Andor was a masterpiece. Ahsoka was solid. Pixar is still Pixar. The classic Disney library is still there. But Marvel's approach turned Disney Plus from a premium destination into a content dumping ground. Instead of appointment television, instead of events, we got homework. The promise of Disney Plus was simple. The best of Disney's entertainment. The reality became a place to keep up with assignments to understand movies. Marvel took a platform full of potential and turned watching it into a slog. They had the perfect platform, endless resources, and the most popular fictional universe ever, and they made it feel like work. And the crazy part is they're starting to figure it out. Daredevil, Born Again was good. Echo was quietly decent despite being rushed. But the damage is done. The magic is gone. The excitement is now skepticism. Disney Plus proved you can have too much of a good thing, and more content doesn't mean better content. They showed that even the strongest brand can be diluted if you flood the market with mediocre versions of what made it special. The saddest part is, it didn't have to happen. Marvel had the perfect formula with their early Disney Plus shows. They just needed to stick with it. Make fewer shows, make them better, make them feel special. Don't make your audience feel like they're falling behind if they miss something. Don't turn entertainment into obligation. Star Wars figured this out. Andor exists in the same universe as The Mandalorian, but you don't need one to enjoy the other. They complement each other without requiring each other. Marvel forgot people watch entertainment to escape, not to keep up. They turned superheroes into a chore, something you know you should watch, but don't really want to. The irony is that Disney Plus launched with the promise of premium, event-worthy storytelling, and Marvel turned that promise into a slog. They transformed appointment viewing into skippable content, devaluing not just their brand, but the entire platform. So what's the legacy? What's the takeaway from this whole misadventure? Disney's learning from their mistakes. The bad news is it might be too late to recapture the magic they threw away. But hey, at least we still have Baby Yoda, right? What do you think? Did Marvel ruin Disney Plus for you, or are you still keeping up with all the shows?